been wondering that something might have been missing in your lives for 40 plus days. No, we're not in this journey where you're giving up something on purpose or anything like that. That's a few months down the line in spring for some people. Um, this is more of like breaks have been taken one way or another, and then three people magically come back together. It's City Make Spence time after 42 days off, folks. Um, Garrett here. We have a little. We're back. It's almost February. Jesus Christ. We got a little bit to talk about. There's been a fun week so far in the Detroit City FC world as far as new players announced, along with some other things, and the women's MASLW side back from their little. Not maybe expected, but turned out to be almost month layoff
Mhm.
back this weekend. But before we get into that, brief ways we'll do the promo thing of where you can check out everything for the Majors Detroit, and that is detroit.themajorsports.com for all your majors Detroit content. Detroit City Sportscast, Make City Make Spence, channel 451. Those fuckers will be back soon. And also TMSNX Detroit on all social media stuff, Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky. And joining me today, because we can never do this alone, first things first, the man that makes all the cool graphics, all the cool production, basically our engine, Adam Hernandez. How are you, good sir?
I'm good. How is everybody doing tonight?
Here, I am fantastic. And now on to the man that does helps make City Make Spence, the namesake, the man, the myth, the legend, the words about Shapes Meister himself, Sean Spence.
Hi. Um, yeah, we're kicking this off fresh out of. I had therapy earlier, and so I just kind of came back from that. And this session was a whole lot. So I don't know where my head's at. This could go a lot of different ways.
Well, you know
So
what, Sean? You can serve as the therapist for Detroit City supporters.
I am unqualified.
I mean, you actually, I don't know about that. We all survived the 2023 season, so I feel like, that gives us a little bit of a background and everything under there. So, speaking of for some and probably therapy, it probably was for some people, especially the online commentary of Detroit City FC off seasons, that is not just a this year thing, but also in previous year thing is there's comes to a point where there's a bit of quiet one way or another. It's the holidays. Things are in nature this year in the USL, a thing was added before where we learned in the beginning of this month that now before players can be announced, there needs to be an in-person medical. Um, so for a
that's
few
a
times,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the thing that's normal in world football. That's like how you get rumors of all the transfer stuff when the guy flies into, they're like, oh, he's flying into Liverpool, like they're signing him.
yeah,
That's because they have to take an in-person physical.
yeah. So now USL got with the times and got with
Right.
the rest of the world on that. So that a new thing throws some people off. And the main thing overall, when are we gonna get a striker? Where the fuck's the strikers? Strikers! Ah! Detroit City FC this week has so far seemed to have quelled some fears in 3 consecutive days of announcements for their new signing total. The first things first was finishing off a new signing announcement that kind of accidentally started for them on January 10th on their website in the form of, which I didn't know about until I got a Majors Detroit tweet notification at 3 o'clock in the afternoon before a giant snowstorm hit. Adam kept me at work for 30 minutes because I was trying to look and then decided to record a video. Not him on purpose. It was just me trying to figure out why the fuck we got this tweet.
Yeah, picture Garrett in like a gimp cage and Adam like content.
Told you missed us, folks. Finally, but Marcelo Polisi was the player announced, joining Detroit City for on a 2-year contract, filling the ranks at central midfielder, Canadian from British Columbia, last featured with Valor in 2023. Yesterday, January the 29th, striker fears were calmed down significantly in the form of Darren Smith, South African that's recently featured in Finland for Inter Turku the last couple of years with quite a great return rate. And I'll leave that over for Sean Spence to find in great details. And today, Haruki Yamazaki, young Japanese, can play in the midfield, can play either fullback, right side, or left side. That featured last year for Northern Colorado Hailstorm in the USL League One. More is to be coming, folks. That's our little tease. But let's talk about the three that were have been announced these past few days, Sean. Your choice if you want to go in order of the days announced, or
Yeah,
if you want to or start with one in particular.
let's go in order. So Marcelo Polisi was the first guy announced, and like you say, he was somebody that kind of was like, I think a tweet was mistakenly let into the wild too early at some point, but you know, like kind of a theme to some of these acquisitions is that it seems like we've gone after guys that have because of injury or whatever have are a little bit under the radar. Given the level of their play, they're not as highly sought as maybe you would think. Because Polisi was, you know, one of the better midfielders in the Canadian Premier League when he was healthy. And you know, I've watched a bit of him now, and I think, you know, okay, it makes sense now why they weren't anxious to re-sign James Murphy, because Polisi is a little more assertive while playing the same role, like basically the exact same role. He likes to stay back. He likes to he does create, but he's more of a pass before the pass guy. And you know, he doesn't really get into the attacking spaces. He's more like a guy who stays in front of the defense. So you know, we needed a guy like that if you're going to start Lai, who now is, you know, like extra galactic dribbling machine. So yeah, we needed somebody who was going to hold the fort, and that seems like that's what Marcelo will do. You know, he missed last year. He got an abdominal tear at the end of 2023, and missed a whole season. So it sounds like, you know, it was bad. But he looks fine. And, you know, we did this kind of last year with Elvis Ammo. I think we were kind of like, well, you know, I think he's going to be all right. So the hope is that, you know, Polisi has been a guy that has, he's played a lot of minutes at various times during his career when he's had a chance to. So I don't think he's somebody who's constantly hurt. I think he just got, you know, had a bad injury and was on Trev's radar, and everybody else forgot about him, and we didn't. The Darren Smith is the next guy. He, like you say, is a South African striker. We've had one of those before, Yazid Matthews, and we've had, you know,
Brogan Shripton was another South African.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was South African, and Tyrone was South African, although he wasn't a striker. Yes. But the he's a little different than, like, you know, Brogan and Zeev were both kind of physically robust guys, a little bit. He's not. He is a movement striker. He is fairly small, like 5'8", but he is quick. He's not blindingly fast. Okay, the film we're watching of him is in the Finnish league, and I assume those guys are, you know, they're in the top flight in Finland, but they're probably not, you know, sprinter fast. Given the population size they're drawing from, I'm imagining the USL's defenders are a little quicker than the Finnish top flight. So, you know, I don't expect him to be blowing past people, but the thing he does is something we haven't seen in a lot of strikers, is that he's a very smooth, like Jean-Claude Lawson style one-touch finisher. He's very good at, you know, making a sharp run, getting a sharp pass, and sort of just like deflecting it into the corner of the net. You know, he doesn't try to do too much. He doesn't try to, like, he's a guy who places shots. So I don't know if he's a guy who's I mean, I'm sure he's coming in to compete for starting minutes. I don't know if he's going to be a nailed on starter. But he also looks like a guy who could function pretty well in a partnership up top, which is something I think Ben would probably benefit from as well. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know what we're planning to do formationally. I know that we've got some guys yet to be announced that we won't really talk about tonight that indicate that we are going to play with wingers. So yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see how this all fits together once we have all the pieces on the table. But interesting. And the thing I think is interesting is Trevor's insistence on fishing outside the USL pool. You see a lot of transactions from other sides that are just kind of the same guys. There's a League One guy, and like, okay, well, we'll sign some League One guys, but we're bringing a dude in from the CPL, we're bringing a guy in from Finland, um, uh, and and also scouting the USL system. So I think it is a lot more work, I think, to onboard guys into the US system that aren't in it already. And I think it's cool that we continue to do that. Okay, finally, a third one is
Haruki Yamazaki.
Yamazaki. Okay, he's a little more of a speculative. He's younger. He's like 24. He's got 1 year of professional ball under his belt, where he came in. He graduated from college and signed with North Carolina Hailstorm. And once he got in shape, or North Colorado, right? And once he got in shape, he was their left back, for I don't know 10 games in a row. And then he got suspended. He got a red card, got suspended. And when he came back from the suspension, I don't know if he wasn't 100% healthy or what, but they moved him around after that. It looks like maybe somebody else was playing at left back and they stuck with that guy. I don't know, but he got a lot of playing time and then got a suspension and then sort of didn't play over the end of the year. So I speculate in today's article that he might have had some injuries or something like that, because he's not even in the 18 from a guy who's playing 90 minutes every day. So I think he must have been hurt. He is okay. So Japanese players have a reputation for having a tremendous first touch. And he is like that. His first touch is very soft and very it looks great. And it kind of sets him up for success with the rest of his game. He is not uh, he's not a huge guy, but he is physically pretty robust. And he likes to make kind of rampaging runs through the middle where that are kind of maxi-ish, in that he'll pick up combinations as he's moving with the ball. He is a guy who creates chances. He even from left back in a four back slot was creating at least one clear chance every match, or every 90 minutes. And I'm pretty excited about the fact that I think he still has a little room to grow in terms of his game has a little room to grow. And I think we might see him as an option, like you said, as a backup at either on either flank, or playing in the middle. The midfield was stripped down to basically lie, and then maybe Ryan Williams, he's out there somewhere. They're talking to him, I guess. And then then you could have Connor play, but that's not really where Connor wants to play. He doesn't want to play central midfield. So with the three guys, we've got two midfielders, which were a huge need, and a striker, which everyone always wants. And I can tell you that tomorrow is another midfielder. So we're signing up some guys, and added to the defensive people we brought in. This is a pretty significant turnover for the roster. I think what are we like 7 guys now?
Yeah, something along those lines. Like, I think we're at 6 or 7. Yeah.
Right. And maybe the most exciting one yet to will be next week so far. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's funny. I think that uh, I obviously I know Trevor and like Trevor, so I think a lot about what Trevor's doing here, and the breadth of the net that we're casting to find players is really, to me, like encouraging and exciting. That we're not just kind of like, looking through FB Ref at which guys on USL rosters are out of contract.
Yeah.
Which feels like a
I
lot of front offices, that's where they start. Like, oh, who can we bring back in?
I think also too with the Yamazaki announcement. So the USL Championship website referred to him as a defender, but when you look at the Detroit City presser, they referred to him as a midfielder.
Right,
And another fun bit too, and I think our comrade Sean Juice Grogan um, pointed out some good details too, because Yamazaki's college ball was first at Davis and Elkins in West Virginia, and then he finished
right,
out at Oral Roberts.
right.
Played also some attacking mid during his time
No,
there.
yeah,
So,
he was a playmaker in college. Um,
so
yeah, I think
makes
that.
me wonder.
Well, like, okay, we're playing a different. I don't know that we'll play a four. I think that we kind of, even when we show up in a four, it's really a five.
Yeah.
We've just kind of jinked it higher on the right, slid it over. Um, and so, like, if he's playing left, if he's playing left wing back, where Alex plays, or where he would play, that's going to basically be a midfielder slot. I don't know, maybe he's a central midfielder, and we don't know. A lot. Well, another thing, we don't know what system they're playing. We
Right.
don't know if they're going to play a 3-4-3 with two inside guys on the flanks and nobody in the hole. Yeah, well, who knows? There's a lot of options.
It
It's
seemed like
we're at the fun part of a football manager save, where you're like, oh, I could do this or this or this.
we've known Danny Dicchio, I think, for 13 months. And I think in the beginning of our discussion, I think the beginning of his statements, ideally his dream goal preseason of 24 was 3-4-3. And then as 24 preseason happened, it seemed like three might not be the way to go with this squad. Let's do the four. But then as the season progressed last year, he found joy a lot in that 3-5-2 because it was getting the best out of Ben and was getting the best out of Connor. So now, as you've mentioned, we've retooled, out with some, in with some others. It really makes it entirely like, I think it could be fun. When you also
Yeah.
add into account that home turf is very narrow,
Right.
away is a lot of open. This team can grind still. It's because the defense didn't suffer at all last year. And now with, when you look at Shane, like obviously Shane and Maury coming in December,
Yeah.
um, and Michael coming back, and Matt Sheldon also coming back too, which happened since we've returned. Is you have a lot of what worked last year, and you also got deeper too in that end, and then you also, when you want to spread out on the road and have some ball makers, um, you can do that now. So, one thing I want, and I want to get Adam's take, but one thing I also really liked about Darren Smith, that I think this is something that, maybe on there. Darren Smith's last couple of years were in Finland. So, a couple things about Finland. Finland's calendar is similar right now to North Americans as far as the United States and Canada goes, spring to fall. Another thing also too about Finland is a lot of their fields are turf. What's Darren Smith coming to? A
Right.
turf field. So he's already, I think, got that kind of maybe head start in a way, perhaps, that it might have taken Ben a little bit to get to in 23 and a bit of last year. So I'm really seeing if that also helps in him being able to get a jump right away. So,
Yeah, it will be
um,
interesting. The knowing the turf is like, there are certain passes that Stevie hits only at Keyworth, or like style of pass where he kind of chops at the ball and like chops it off the turf, and like it allows it to kind of check up. Um, and that's the kind of thing you learn when you've played 8 years on the same turf. You know what I mean? Like, um, and Yeah, I think the fact that he's coming in and hasn't played his entire career on soft grass fields will be an advantage, at least early on.
Any of you guys get nervous watching him practice on that indoor turf, knowing how it is?
I having played on that turf, yeah, I'm fucking terrified. I can be fucking terrified.
I mean,
You played on it
like,
too. You played on it too.
yeah. I kind of feel I kind of got a little bit of that like 70s parent vibe about players, like, toughens them up, like they're getting getting all the germs in them. It's fine. Yeah, I don't know.
Snake in the feet.
Right, like yeah, exactly. They've got the pebbles and everything.
Like exposing them to chicken pox.
Right.
They gotta get
exactly.
it.
We're having a chicken pox party every day at training. It's great. I think that we won't miss this once it's gone. But this is where we are. Yeah. Sorry, guys. It's this turf. This is what's up. And the goals are the wrong size. They're absolutely the wrong size. Sorry.
We'll talk more about that in MASLW talk later on. Adam, what's your what do you want to chime in on these three?
I know people were nervous about the lack of signings throughout the the month of December and into the new year and everything. I know I've kind of beaten this to death a little bit, and I apologize, but I want to ask everyone, because we have as you might know more than us, but is this the reason why we didn't re-sign Maxey? Knowing what's potentially coming up, knowing what we already know that's been announced, but also knowing what may be coming up as far as player announcements. Is this the reason why we didn't sign Maxey? As far as, yes, he is probably asking for a ton of money, but also is this an indication that we are now more open to change how we approach things offensively heading into the new year, or heading into this new USL championship season?
Right. I don't think it was one thing. I think there was kind of all of that. It's kind of, yes, all of that. Like,
yeah,
I think that by maybe 2/3 of the way through the season, I think that maybe they were a bit frustrated with Maxey's ability to bring it every night, and to be the straw that stirs the drink match after match after match, and that does weigh on you, and he did not succeed in being his glorious self consistently through the season. He had that one kind of long stretch there that was 10, 12 matches. That was like, we were talking
13.
about like 2-3 months of real time where he was just kind of in middling form, kind of And when you build a team around a guy, having him be for 3 months is pretty rough. Now, having said that, I have talked to a lot of people about Maxey since the end of the season, and as I understand it right now, what happened was that Maxey, like, okay, City's offer, I don't know if it wasn't as much as Rhode Island's, but it was a lot of money. And Maxey there really was never a whole lot of negotiations. Maxey made it clear from the beginning, like, he kind of felt like he'd run his race here and he wanted to do something else, wanted to kind of see a different part of the country, and, wanted to move it on down the road. And, that's an unimpeachable decision, really. Like, if that's what you want, then okay, go do it. So I don't think that they had Marcelo and tomorrow's guy in their pocket and were like, we don't even need Maxey. I think they would, if Maxey wanted to come back, we were ready to dump a bunch of money on him and keep him, but he didn't want to. So it's fine. The just kind of finishing off the Maxey thing, I think that it is extremely likely that we here at Detroit City have seen the absolute juicy heart of Maxey's career, and that what happens after this is kind of descending action. Now, if he's listening to this, he'll be like, "Fuck you! I'm going to prove you wrong." That's fine. Like, please do prove me wrong. But
Between what
like,
you're saying and what Adam was going at him almost all of December, yeah, that dude's got like a lot of ammo. Let's see if he actually delivers it on
I
that.
mean, like I just, I really love Maxey as a player, and I would rather him, finish his career here. But I totally get why it's like, kind of been there, done that. You're getting to where okay, you're 28, 29 now. You can see the end of your career coming up. Like, do I really want to am I just going to like, this is it, I'm a city guy. I'm going to dig in here and like be a coach or something. Like, maybe I don't want to do that. You like, got a lot, there's a lot goes into it that's not necessarily just about football. So yeah, I mean, like you say, this is one of the things that I hope that our supporter base can get behind. Is like, yeah, we're going to jeer these guys when they come back, but we're going to like keep the love in your heart. Like, this doesn't erase the things he did for us.
You know the way I see it I see some parallels with another Detroit athlete, with another famous Detroit athlete, former Detroit athlete, legend in his own right, and it's Sergei Fedorov. Like,
Yeah.
spent his prime years with the Red Wings, wanted to go off and do his own thing, did do his own thing, but
Took less
didn't
money.
quite have, for less money. I don't think Maxey got less money, but went off and did his own thing, but it wasn't as impactful as what he was able to accomplish in Detroit. That's my prediction for Maxey. I think Maxey's going to go on to Rhode Island and do some good things, but is it going to be as impactful as the things that he did for Detroit City?
Right. No,
Probably not.
I think I think he probably will be a pretty reliable cog and a pretty decent machine. If I'm guessing, I'm saying 4 goals, 8 assists, something like that. Which is fine. That's a good season for a midfielder. And then we'll see what happens with Rhode Island.
Yeah, because it's also a deeper unit too. So are you going to be rotate? Is it
Right.
going to be
That's my
rotated
question. Is
in and
like,
out? Yeah.
It is entirely possible that he gets beat out for position in preseason and spends the entire year struggling for minutes. Something that he has never done in the Rouge and Gold. I mean, he's basically been the first name on the team sheet since he arrived. So that would be interesting to see. It's all going to be interesting. I'm I will get back to our players, but I am encouraged that we aren't rolling out a backup right back and another inside left instead of midfielders. I think I said that like maybe 3 different episodes, like midfielders. That's what we need. What we need are midfielders. Okay, well, this week we're getting 3. Okay, so that's great.
I think it's actually I was gonna ask about this later, but I think since you talked about Maxey on it now, I'll ask the question also too to get your take, both your takes. 2 other Detroit City players last year have been announced in our gap since we last recorded. Not in Rhode Island, but much closer to us, and a team that, when we joined USL Championship, we thought supporter-wise it might have been like our third rivalry or whatever in that. But we've since learned that amongst the players, it's the top rivalry, as in the 11.
Yep.
And Indy 11 have picked up not 2 Detroit City players from last year. First, Elvis Amo. And I thought, why would they? I was surprised at that. And then I saw Augustine Williams went to Pittsburgh.
Right.
And then just as a couple days ago, James Murphy. So,
Yeah. So
Gents,
Detroit
your
City
takes on that.
South.
Yeah.
It is surprising a little bit, because we've heard pretty consistently from the players that Indy 11 are the guys they love to hate, that they kind of don't get along. It is chippy and rough when they play each other.
Even in preseason.
Yeah, exactly. And they play like we play every preseason. It's usually the last preseason match is Indy 11. It's not even public, a lot of times it's like down in the dome down in Indy. The I don't know if that will. I think the animosity can't continue if they're going to keep nabbing our guys, because nobody's angry at Elvis or James. You know what I mean? We're not going to suddenly decide yeah, fuck those guys, even though they were perfectly fine teammates. So I don't know what that portends for the viciousness of the rivalry. But honestly, I'm not that surprised. They really, Trevor was the general manager in Indy for a couple years, and my understanding is that before they hired their current manager last year, they made a offer to Trevor that he turned down to stay here. So they obviously value his ability to judge talent, and so this is a really easy way to kind of get a little slipstream of that, to just kind of pick up all the released starters that were just brought in. So this is Indy 11 saying we believe Trevor more than Danny. I think, but we'll see. I'm curious. I mean, if it's both James Murphy and Cam Lindley in like a double pivot for Indy, that's a lot of quality in a double
Jack
pivot.
Blake too. They're loaded in that area.
Right. So yeah, if they can sit with those guys, they're all good passers over medium and long range. They can kind of sit deep instead of I have a feeling that's what we're going to see from them. I think we're going to see that a lot this year from a lot of teams. It's the new hotness, trying to sit in a medium block or a little medium low block and stand off and so you have space to break into, instead of pinning a team in and just keeping possession for 70%. But they 10 guys go stand in the area and you can't do anything. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes with Indy 11. I'm not surprised they picked those guys up. Those are two players I would have probably re-signed if this was my Football Manager save. Now, having said that, I don't know what money they were on. I say that, but maybe if Elvis is on $300,000 a year or something, it's you got to get down the road, bro. We're not paying that again. We'll see.
Adam, what about you, bud?
Yeah, I liked both James and Elvis while they were here. Elvis, especially that up until he got hurt. And we're that game in Indy 2 last year, when not the Open Cup game, the good game where we actually won. That chemistry that he had with Maxie and Ali Coop that was going, it was phenomenal. And it was kind of one of those what ifs type of scenarios that you think back on, if Elvis didn't get hurt against North Carolina. But I'm interested to see what they're able to get out of them ultimately, because like Sean said, potentially they're hoping they get more of what Trevor maybe was seeing out of them, as opposed to what Danny ended up getting out of them. Because the thing with Elvis is, obviously he got hurt and he never seemed to be the same after that injury. James, I don't know. It just seemed like some days he was kind of a ghost, and other days, you kind of felt his presence. But that's going to be my big interest, my big interest in all of this is where he is, what they ultimately get out of them, because there is still a lot to be desired, I think, with both of them, with City last season. So that's what I'm going to be looking towards, and no animosity or anything like that,
Right.
with either of them. Or really any player on this team. It's just, this is the business aspect of it.
Right.
These guys have, uh, this is their job. This isn't an amateur or anything like that. This is their job. This is part of the business. Sometimes players who you've had on your team before end up going to a rival, and that's just the way things work. So
Yeah, I don't think this is quite like Saul Campbell or anything. Like it's it's fine.
yeah,
That's a great
exactly.
That's a
the
great reference.
the James, like I'm wondering now, and this is like we're completely off the rails in terms of what we're talking about, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, like, because I've been really trying to figure out why James went, right? Because that's the one that I'm just like, huh? Like I thought he was pretty good, and I said something like that, and like Morrissey was like, was like, yeah, me too. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm not entirely wrong. Um, the But I'm looking at the Marcello Polisi's film, right, and thinking maybe this is more what they wanted, and James is not a guy who snaps into a tackle, who like times it so he like kind of puts a shiver down the other guy, where it's like you're putting that stamp of authority. He's a subtle, like kind of stand up poke tackler, and like he's got all those yellow cards, but they're all like professional fouls, right? Like he's never laying a dude out or like kicking a guy in the balls. He's like he's misunderstanding the space for a moment or getting beat by a touch and just sort of just like grabbing the guy's jersey and going, yeah, okay, I'm taking it. Like that's it. I'm not gonna let that break happen. That's most of it. Yeah, you got a yellow card, but you got like one of those every game. And so maybe the difference is like a little bit of movement. Like he's maybe not quick enough to do the very physical thing, and Polisi maybe is. I don't know. I'm really interested to see how it works out.
I think for me, when I talked with Adam on this, I think a little bit while ago, like a couple weeks ago, maybe in one of our chats, is I think when you look at the end of the year and you kind of study the trend, that little mini run we went on, and I know James had to sit out a match due to the yellow card accumulation.
Right.
I think about
Ryan just won his spot. Like
in that playoff match, you're hosting a home playoff match. And Elijah opts out with the sports hernia. Like the sports hernia like flared up to the point where it was like he can't
what a
go.
disaster. I really think if Lai plays, we win that.
Yeah. And you look at that situation, and I was saying in this, you lost Elijah and you made a choice in the midfield. And Danny chose Ryan Williams over James Murphy in that moment. Now, James Murphy did feature, and unfortunately, it didn't go James Murphy's way in the penalty kicks.
Yeah.
But perhaps in that moment, I'm wondering, and maybe a couple other times as the season went on, was it made clear like, hey, this isn't going the way we anticipated? Because I also picture, when James arrived, we knew he can play as a 6 and we knew he could play as an 8.
Mm-hmm.
Did we want to see more of an 8 from him as opposed to just sitting back always holding?
Yeah, I mean, what I saw from him in Monterey Bay was he was the deepest lying guy. Like he wasn't,
Yeah.
that's his. Like if they wanted him to be an 8, they were asking him to change his game, which, I mean, maybe they were, but like I don't think it's a great idea. Excuse me. And I went through the stats. Like I really, spent some time pondering this. And like he did, like there was that, like when the whole team had that like doldrums, James really had some doldrums. Like he turned the ball over a lot during a stretch, like a 4 or 5 game stretch in the middle of the season. And he's in a position in the field where, because he likes to stay back right in front of the defense, like when he turns it over, it's a calamity. Like so. Doing that 4 or 5 times a game is will get will get frustrating for your other defenders very quickly.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know. I guess I could let the whole James question go now. It's over.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what I think this new group looks to me to be a little more technical and maybe a little slightly more lightweight. Uh, the
A little
I
less
don't.
fiery.
Well, I'm just not dude. Like this is not like an attitude thing. It's like just a mass thing. They're a little bit lighter guys. Um, the guy Haruki, who was announced today, and the guy that's being announced tomorrow are, not like thick dudes who get stuck in. You know what I mean? They're guys who have a lot of skill and want to combine. Um, and I'm interested to see what we do.
Mhm.
I have a feeling that we're going to play 3-4-3. You know, um, I don't think we bring in. I think the reason we played a 4 is because we didn't have a good right center back, like a starter level right center back, and then we brought in Shane Wheat. So now we do there. Um, and so I think we're going to play a 5, and that that Maury will start on the right, and that Alex probably will start on the left, and that we'll play 2 central midfielders. And then the thing about the 3-4-3 is that the central midfielders can't be specialists at all. Unlike like a 4-3-3 where you can have all 3 of those central midfielders can have like a niche, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm the tackler, I'm the transition guy, I'm the playmaker. Great, you guys are great. In a dual midfield, especially in a 3-4-3 where like you basically just have 2 box-to-box midfielders, like just 2 guys that are expected to kind of do it all over the pitch. And maybe
Right.
they could slightly like I'm a slightly more forward guy and you're slightly more back, but that's it. So what we need are complete midfielders to play those roles. Now, assuming that Lai is one of them, we only need 1. Um, so we'll see how it goes. I don't know what we're gonna do formation wise. We could still play the 3-4-3 and just align the attack differently instead of having inside forwards. We could play a 2 striker set with a playmaker behind.
That 3-4-1-2 that Trevor
Yeah,
loved in 2022.
right. And it's like such a subtle difference, but it's quite a difference. Like you know what I mean? Like all you're doing is taking the guys that start on the wing and starting them in the middle, but that it's crazy how what a difference that makes. So we're massively speculating now. But I think we've got some different pieces that hopefully will fit together really nicely.
And I also wonder, this is where the versatility option of depth players come in. I think Matt Sheldon being brought back in, I think it fills in a depth role, especially late matches for using that speed and the pace.
Right.
And
Well, and
now,
you want to bring on a little nous when
yeah,
so Matt will have that, Michael will have that,
yeah,
Connor. We've got
yeah.
some guys who
Jesse El Cedeno.
Jesse El Cedeno. Okay, this is so weird. I've got a Detroit City save that's like super gonzo that I'm kind of using to make stories, and
Yeah,
so I start with City and I add all these like kids and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, I need a right winger. This is I'm and I go I find a free agent. Like here's an American free agent. Okay, great, I sign him. And he plays pretty well. He's pretty good. His numbers are pretty good, like 14 pace, 14 dribbling. Like he's causing problems for me. It's all right. I'm like, yeah, this guy's all right. I'm like, who is that winger? It was fucking Jesse El Cedeno. I'm like, oh shit, I just signed one of our guys. Like I didn't even click with me. Like that's just like, yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, he was lights out as a right winger in my save.
we said that it was 42 days since we last recorded Make City Make Spence. That's more than the now 37 days that it is until the USL Championship opener March 8th.
That's so bananas.
FC.
Like they're gonna do a whole preseason in that much time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really does give you a good impression of like how ad hoc those early weeks are. You got like 6 weeks to glue this together. Like you're really just starting to kind of get to know each other. Like when you've added this many players, like you're throwing it out there and like, everybody, the coaching
Yeah.
staff, everybody's just like, well, I hope it goes well.
It's just hard to believe
and
how like much there really isn't an off season for the men's
Oh
side.
my God.
Like it feels like it was literally last week that I was hanging my head in disappointment after that penalty loss to Tampa Bay. So
Yeah, I mean,
then then
I was feeling,
elections happened.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's another thing that has kept me
Yeah. Yeah.
like
We
under the
talked about
table
this. We're going to be up all night.
dreaming. Yeah. Yeah. We don't have any more news that we can break here, so.
Well, we
Yeah, we
have
do.
also one more thing. We have the Open Cup.
Open
No,
Cup's
Detroit
wait,
all right.
City's going
something
to be
else.
host.
Something else. If we want to keep it city related, can we
No,
keep it city
like
related?
we can. I mean, we can. I don't like.
Right,
My daughter has a car now, so I can go all night. That's great.
Oh shit! Yeah, because it's 9:25 right now. Normally we have a 9:20 cutoff. Now that's no longer a thing.
It's so exciting.
Yeah. We have So one other thing too. Also in the midst of that thick season starting. So like you said, March 8th, Miami. Home opener March 22nd. Third round U.S. Open Cup. U.S. Open Cup announcement took place. Though USL 16 of the 24 USL Championship teams are going to be in the third round. The lowest 8 are going to be in the first round. Sucks to suck. Third round teams will be playing April 15th and 16th by the looks of it. And there's 8 of the 16 USL Championship sides that are going to be hosting, and 8 will be on the road. Detroit City is going to be one of the 8 hosting. So Tuesday, April 15th, Wednesday, April 16th, one of those 2 days, Detroit City will be having an Open Cup match at Keyworth Stadium.
Right.
Obviously, we do not know who that we're going to be playing. There are MLS sides will not be entering the cup until the 4th round. There is no NISA, although they apparently talked about coming back. We'll talk more about that in our special U.S. soccer, whatever the fuck we're going to call it. Well, actually, do you guys want to talk about that now and then we go into women's
Yeah.
indoor? Or do you want to do?
Let's finish with the women. Let's do the weird shit in the middle.
Yeah, so weird shit in American soccer time. Real quick, highlight some USL champ stuff since it seems to be going on. You hear a little bit more about some silly stuff. Birmingham Legion, one thing I'll talk about with them because I'm thinking about that because they are the team we are hosting for the home opener on March 22nd, which still concerns me as to what the fuck the weather is going to be like. They're probably thinking about that even more than we are.
Yeah.
Birmingham City picked up first Rolando Damas on loan from Colorado Springs Switchbacks. Detroit City, first time I think they ever played against Damas was last year in the season opener. Legion decided that wasn't enough for a team that did not make the playoffs, and who loves to apparently have a deep budget. They decided to bring Danny Trejo back from Poland.
That was like, okay. Danny Trejo is very exciting, but I think we have an equally exciting winger, like signed that we haven't announced yet. Like
that can also play up top.
I'm just saying, like there's some exciting players coming to Detroit this year, and
that's quite the tease, Sean. That is quite the tease.
It's a fun fucking time.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
Like, okay, here's the thing. Like, if you're like thinking about some guy overseas, like, okay, you're thinking wrong because attacking players, you are not going to buy a name for the amount of money that anyone in USL has. Okay, unless you are like a devotee of like League One and the Mexican feeder teams and like there's you don't like I don't have and pretty much nobody but Trevor has the like wherewithal to speak to all these things and the guy we're bringing in is he's kind of an electric player. It's exciting. And I think that if we can get it to combine, right, like, it's been a while. Well, I mean, the last time we had a really electric chance creating winger was Tyrone Mondi. And
But
that went
also
pretty well.
who can also play a 10 and finish like Jean-Claude Lawson.
I mean,
when you look at some stats from
yeah,
previous years.
I don't know that we're like we're already talking about this dude. Basically, he is incredibly quick. I think that he will get he basically plays off the wing, and I think he'll get less looks at goal. Although he's tall, so if he's playing on the right wing and we create something off the left, like he can finish back stick. So I mean, it's just I'm very excited.
Okay, we should probably stop. We should probably stop teasing before we get before somebody checks this out. It's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck are y'all doing?
Right. You can
so
ask Sean Grogan. He knows.
yeah, juice notes. Back to American fucked up soccer stuff. Tampa Bay Rowdies losing Cal Jennings. That's going to be very, very interesting. Louisville City, Elijah Winder, biggest USL championship fee to go to MLS, if I recall right, going to LA Galaxy.
I mean, okay, so understand that what MLS for years has absolutely refused to spend money on USL players.
Yep.
They have because their established position is that every player in the United States belongs to them by right. And the idea, it just galls them to think that they have to pay some lesser club for a player. Like we're soccer in the United States. It's us. We're MLS, right? That's kind of how they approach it.
What's funny, Sean, you saying that is that's not really hyperbole either, because there's actually that founders rights or something, that weird thing that they have where they just sit there and claim, players like, oh, they're ours. They're really good, so they're ours. So if you ever want them, you've got to pay us a fee to get them.
Yeah, so what we're seeing is that like delusion getting sort of gradually ground away by reality, which is the reality is that your development system is a lot of smoke a lot of the time, and there are people doing the actual work that are going to have decided that they're actually going to get paid now. And it's exciting to see like Louisville City get that money. And Diego Luna, they bought I think RSL bought him from San Antonio, or El Paso, sorry. But so that it's starting to kind of break down and become a regular relationship between a second division and a first division, which is that the first division has more money and more eyeballs, so naturally they kind of take the cream off of the second division every year. That really properly should, instead of being upsetting, should be like rejuvenating for the second division teams, because the first division teams should be sending money down for those players. Then the second division team can reinvest it, and the whole wheel keeps churning. It's the collision between the old idea of like gold standard and like modern monetary theory, and MLS is the old gold standard. Like they're trying to hoard the players. They come in like they're mine. And the other way to do it is the way the rest of the world does it. So it's they're kind of getting their delusions chipped away at, and it's it's high time for that. And the next thing we're going to talk about is potentially another chance for MLS's delusions to be diminished. So you want to kick that?
Yeah, trial time. So, 7-ish years ago, because it blows my mind, to the fall of 2017 and NASL losing their sanctioning, and the antitrust lawsuit being filed. It's finally reached to the point where trial and deliberations and everything has begun. and
Discovery has begun.
Discovery has begun, including Rocco Commissaro having a burner Twitter account, which that made the Associated Press, folks.
I think, we all knew though, right? Like Rocco had to have a burner account. Like honestly, while I think the lawsuit could be part of a series of blows which strike at the foundation of MLS's sort of cartel, I don't think it's going to be the decisive one, or even give the appearance of being the decisive one at any point. At this point, it's kind of the main thing. I think that most, like, the reason I shouted at the microphone from 5 feet away was because, like, the prospect of MLS actually having to produce some documents about their business model, their plan, the way they scheme against other businesses, their use of an insider position with U.S. soccer to cut off any potential rivals is very modern Silicon Valley, right? Like it's the be the first, get biggest, and then buy up or shut down every potential competitor. It's the model that Microsoft thrives on, and Google, Apple, Facebook. And
dare I say also the Vince McMahon buying up or coursing territories to go out of business pro wrestling 1980s for the connection joke to Adam.
Right. Okay. So what we're talking about is corruption, right? It's corruption. It's using influence or leverage to force things your way in a way that kind of breaks the system. And I mean, the thing I'm mostly hopeful about right now is the talk that the NCAA clubs might sort of halfway leave the NCAA and become full-time soccer clubs. That one report has that they've been invited to be in USL League One, and that USL League One would become a regionalized league with like League One teams would be like Madison playing IU
University of
and
Wisconsin.
Michigan. Right. Well, I mean, but the Big Ten teams. Big Ten is there's 3 conferences that have like moved into it. Big Ten, ACC, and I think the SEC. But I don't think the SEC really even has soccer. I think they're like seeing that this is kind of a thing. But this really comes from the head coaches of the soccer teams trying to make soccer, as relevant in the United States as it is everywhere else in the world, and running into NCAA restrictions over and over and over again for like length of the season and when you can practice, and like that's just not how it works. Like, if you're a soccer player, you're trying to be a professional, you are playing literally year round. You were always playing.
And a completely different game rules as far as people coming in and
right.
out.
Yeah, exactly. And then the whole, I mean, the whole like bowdlerized version that you play in the NCAA is ridiculous. And I think that basically the soccer people who were chafing under the NCAA have been chafing for years and years and years, and they finally have enough power to say, no, we want to do this the soccer way. We want the soccer to be the thing that we're doing, and not like like a thing we do 5 months a year, and the other 7 months we're just trying to stay in shape. They've got enough power to potentially, they're talking to the coaches, and so that's where I think this gets hairy, is that, I'm sure the athletic directors have a much different point of view. So I think a lot of what it will come down to is, can this professional option for the NCAA actually generate revenue? commensurate to, you know, more than what they make from being an NCAA club. And I think it probably will. And it really is, honestly, it's a thing that I've played on Football Manager many times, where it's like there's, somebody will do it, that like, okay, the USA database, now all the college teams are, in the third or fourth division. And it really makes a big difference going from like 40 clubs to like 150 clubs. Like, even if 100 of those are, colleges, like, who cares? There's so many clubs that were originally college clubs are all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, this is a normal thing. Like, I'm all for it. Now, I think it will likely run aground among the athletic directors. I'm sure MLS is making lots of calls right now, because this goes right at the heart of MLS Next Pro. Their attempt to create a pasture in the United States where they own every player. This will really fuck that up, because the NCAA teams going through U.S. Soccer instead of going through the NCAA means they will be registered professionals within FIFA.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to fuck with them, you got to get there internationally. You got to do all of the steps. You can't just say, "Oh, we drafted you, bitch." You can't do that. They're already pros for someone else. So I mean, it really does like fuck up their model. It will also kill that league, because Next Pro is such a pale, sad, uninspiring competition. And like, if you're a kid who's like, okay, well, I want to go pro, and this is the only way I can go pro, and then the coach of North Carolina calls up and says, actually, you can do that with me now, and there'll be 3,000 people at every game, and you'll get a free college education. Like, holy shit! Like, well, that's a winner against like a MLS Next Pro team paying you like 25 grand to work 70 hours a week. Like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really think if I was an MLS person, I'd be like shitting myself about this.
And in fact, also too.
I was gonna say Next Pro is NISA with money. That's essentially what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's NISA with money. One thing, Garrett, before you chime in, I just want to say that this whole NCAA thing, and this isn't something that's far-fetched. Not today, because right now, soccer at the collegiate level is just maybe one step ahead as far as college football goes, because college football is going in the same direction too. You're eventually going to have the big teams, the Alabamas, the Michigans, the Ohio States, eventually break away from the NCAA and form their own quote unquote super league.
Right. They're going to form a, NFL 2 or something,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. And this is just these NCAA teams going and kind of doing that same exact, it's not kind of, they are going and doing really that same exact thing. And yeah, it may be for slightly different reasons, but I mean, it's like I said, it's not something that's completely out of the ordinary, because the NCAA itself is losing a lot of power and a lot of influence, because people, whether they're college football teams or college soccer teams, there's a lot of people out there that are entirely sick of the NCAA and all these restrictions that they put on players and teams and everything like that. So yeah, it seems like it may be far-fetched, but it really is not. And I can totally see this happening, and I'd love to see it happen too. I'd love to see, for one, I want to see players get what they're owed.
Yep.
And the other reason too is exactly what you said, Sean. It's striking at the heart of MLS, and it's something, it's that creativity that I love too, because it's something that I want to see. I don't necessarily want to see MLS go away. I want to see the entire model of it
I want to see the cartel broken.
Yes, absolutely.
Just become a regular first division and like link up to the other. Let's get it started. Let's be a real football nation. Like, stop being in the fucking way. You say you want to run soccer, then run soccer. Stop trying to make it like MLS or like the NFL, but but in shorts. Like
And
come
that's
on.
the only thing that concerns me with it too, with the trial and everything. Because for one, and this is the thing with the whole NCAA thing, potentially going to USL one. I wonder what that does to territory rights in USL one. You'd have to think that maybe it goes away, but
yeah, no, I think it would absolutely have to go
have to
away.
go away.
And
But the thing with
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, just the thing with the trial, though, the thing that worries me about that is this is America, and I mean, MLS potentially has thousands of dollars, or not thousands, excuse me, billions of dollars potentially worth of advertising dollars to lose over the course of obviously several years, but whatever. And it just seems like, in America, that's what, you know,
Wait a minute. Are you
that's what.
suggesting that propaganda works? Oh my
Yeah, I was
God.
gonna say
Wait a
that's
minute.
what Steve.
I am shocked, sir. Shocked.
I know. It's shocking, government siding on with massive corporations and
Yeah.
having their best interest first, even though ironically enough, the man on the other side of this is a billionaire himself in Rocco. But
Yeah. Okay. So
MLS are bigger billionaires than Rocco is. So
here's my prediction. My prediction is that this goes really, really well. But that we are entering a neo-feudal age,
mhm.
and that the when Grand Duke, you know, well, I can't remember Garber, Grand Duke Garber,
Randu
uh,
Gerber.
puts a call into God Emperor Trump's people that they'll just do some sort of fiat thing right now.
Yeah.
That feels like the way the world is about to organize itself.
Yeah.
Like, once again, around the whims of every dickhead who was born without concerns. That seems like a really fantastic way to organize a society, and I am very excited for our experiment in this. It's I think it's tremendous, and I cannot wait to see
Grand
what happens.
Grand Duke Garber is going to kiss the ring of Trump, and Trump's going to sign some executive order, some executive soccer order,
Right.
and
He's
who
gonna like
knows?
have all the USL players deported or something. Like,
And Sean
perfect.
Mann is going to have to, wash cars in the parking lot of the field house or something like that.
Make a public statement that he's sorry. That
Yeah.
he's sorry.
I was just about to say before you all went down that route, the NCAA and the USL, because for USL right now, without promotion relegation, whether it is with MLS connected or with, I know USL's floated the idea of a promotion relegation system within USL, or that being the first league. Obviously, maybe part of it is waiting to see what happens with the trial. How are you going to make yourselves compete in a landscape, especially in a landscape of American sport? And we've talked about this multiple times, where in certain parts of the country, if you're not in the very, very, very top league, considered the very, very top league, you look at this Bush League, you look at this minor league, you may not get the full attention. Hence why a lot of teams in
Yeah.
certain parts of the country have folded. See Memphis 901, see San Diego, all the how many examples can we name over the years, right?
Right.
So that's why I'm really curious to see, because I
I
think
mean,
USL has gained ground. The question is, how can they continue that growth?
the difficult thing is that the traditional answer has been like, you got to connect with the local whatever. But that sometimes turns into a weird, like exclusionary vibe. Um, Honestly, I think that the league needs to, we need better propaganda.
Yes.
The league needs to like market itself in outlandish and difficult to forget ways, because really the play on the field, you're not looking. It's not like you're watching a USL match and then you go over to an MLS match. And you're like, holy shit, look at these guys. It's not that the level is not that different.
Hey, Sean. Hey,
Yeah,
Sean.
yeah.
One quick thing, because I want to get your opinion on this, is something, Garrett, you and I have actually talked about a while ago. But Sean, as a writer yourself, you mentioned the propaganda factor in all of this. It seems a little surprising to me that somebody like CBS Sports, who invested themselves into USL Championship, isn't doing more propaganda pieces on the state of U.S. soccer and, where USL Championship and USL in general is, and really the kind of the fight that they are fighting when it comes to soccer in this country. And it surprises me that they're not pushing that narrative.
Yeah, I mean,
really at all, because
if I was like suddenly in charge of USL's marketing, I would do a couple of things. First of all, like I have a feeling what happened with CBS is that we signed a deal with them and then they got the Champions League, and they just diverted all their soccer resources to Champions League, which was the right decision to make money, right?
Hell, even Europa League, Conference League,
right?
too.
Well, I mean, all the UEFA stuff. So I mean, I think it's just that simple. Like, I think they probably they kind of talked about how they were going to have shoulder programming and stuff like that, and I think they did a little bit, but not enough that you'd really know. And
I think about one of their big matches that was supposed to be on CBS in the summer.
Yeah,
was Sacramento at Oakland, and it got completely on Sunday afternoon on CBS, big CBS, and it got completely preempted because previous President Joe Biden stepped out of the race.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those are tough breaks. I don't think that putting games over terrestrial signal matters that much anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it used to be a big deal. Like, oh, we're on the big channel, but like, who watches that now? Are there a bunch of like 85-year-olds who are like, oh, this is fantastic? I mean, maybe, but like not a big demographic you're going to sell to in 10 years, right? So I would do a couple of things. The first is you got to, in each local market, you've got to kind of have a constant drumbeat of coolness. And that probably changes. Like, the hard thing is that, what's cool in Detroit is probably not the same thing that's cool in San Francisco or, New England or whatever. Like, I think you need to be hyper localized because you need to be constantly driving toward a situation where there's 200, 400, 800 clubs in the United States, right? That's what you want. And you got to stay focused on that because it's going to take like 20 years. But if you want to build a self-sustaining infrastructure where you can make the soccer happen and it's not a constant lift and it's not constantly like, feeling like you're dancing on a knife edge, that's what you're going to have to do. So, you can't market it like the NFL, where it's like Detroit is Michigan and Northern Ohio and Northern Indiana's team. Like, no. In fact, Detroit should probably not be the only, like, City should not be the only team in Detroit. Nope. And they should have to go play Flint and Ann Arbor and Kalamazoo. Like, they should all have clubs of their own.
Let's say Grand Rapids, but Grand Rapids chickened out and win MLS next year.
It's like the Amway people are behind it, right? So, like, fuck them forever. Like, this is the soccer that fraud built, and I have come within the orbit of the Amwaynians at various times in my life.
Sean, there goes our chances at Amway sponsorship.
I am sorry, DeVos family, but you are demons on earth and need to be rebuked. I'm sorry, you are actual literal demons who are here on earth and need to be rebuked. I'm sorry, DeVosses and Van Andels but fuck y'all.
For also additional for people that also want additional takes on the Grand Rapids move, please check out our special Detroit City Sportscast episode with Sean Mann just before the new year on YouTube. That was also fun getting his take on it all too.
That was a great interview, you guys.
Thank you.
What were there's always, like, for the last 20 years, there's been constantly this sort of outside chance that something's going to fuck up MLS's, slow accretion of advantages. And I think this in either of these things, either the lawsuit or the NCAA move, could be the thing. But at this point, I am very cynical about the possibility of anything, disrupting something that billionaires want.
Agreed.
And I think that we may have to abandon the structure of professional sports as we understand it to get away from that. If the billionaires really want to keep doing what they're doing, I think they can just, like, that might be a thing that society decides en masse in like 5 years. Like, we just can't do this anymore. Like, these guys are jerking us off, and they're draining our communities so that we can watch a game. We'll see.
And then also one thing, also real quick, apparently that thing we've talked about in prior episodes, MLS thinking going more towards the model we see, the calendar model we see in a lot of places in the world, which is summer to spring, looking like more and more potential thing. When that takes place, who knows? But be on the lookout, because I'm sure it's going to be tied in somewhere or another to World Cup 2026, because holy fuck, that's next year here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were talking about it before we went on air, and I said it then, and I'll say it again. I think they're going to do that after the World Cup. Like, I think the league will have to take a break for the World Cup anyway for 6 weeks or something. So that's a time to make that your summer break and start off a season. And the reasons for it are pretty simple. And we've already seen like the Super League grappling with this, which is that if you're out of sync with the world's calendar, then you're just kind of not in the club of people trading players. It's like you gotta go through this really complex translation scenario to get some players moved. Like we talk about loaning guys from England, something we thought we would see a bit of because of Trevor's connections. And like, it's basically impossible when we're a calendar year league and their fall to spring, because by the time we start playing, it's March, and that they need to go back to their club at the end of June. So like they would get 2 months of playing, and then they so it's just like, it just doesn't make sense to even move a player like that. And you get a lot of those scenarios. Sorry, go ahead.
If MLS does make that move, do you think USL and would have to make that move as well?
I mean, I think it would. Yes, I don't know if they have to, but I think it's something that
I think would be a move forced down by USSF.
It's possible. This is the other thing about the NCAA thing, is that this is the first time U.S. Soccer has had a chance to kind of pick between the cartels, right? And this is a chance for them to kind of muscle MLS. Like MLS has a lot of control over U.S. Soccer right now, and if I'm like, if I'm running U.S. Soccer, I'm not super comfortable with that. And if you ally with the NCAA and support this move of all those university sides into being like full-blown professional clubs, and assisting them with all the FIFA stuff and the all the international transfer certificates and all that shit, like you really do kind of put like take a little air out of MLS's balloon, and make it a little harder for them to bully you about anything. Like, just, it's one of those things that we, like, what we asked the Democrats to do the whole time they were in power that first 2 years after Biden. Like, it was like, can you just wield some power? Like, you have power now. Can you please wield it to do good things, please? And they're like, I don't know, power. It makes me feel so icky.
Yes,
And I
don't
hope,
be feckless Democrats.
right. I hope that U.S. soccer, takes this moment to say, okay, like, and they could even play it like, just like, what are you talking about? Like, this is best for everyone. Like, this will be best for you in the long run. I know you don't believe it right now, but we're looking out for you. You can really, be frustratingly magnanimous toward the billionaires who have jerked you around. I don't see what the loss is here, unless it means that the secret payments they're getting or something, like, stop coming. That could be because, like, I think a lot of times we think about all this weird way it could be like influence or whatever, but I think a lot of times what happens, with billionaires is like the people who make decisions just get a bunch of money and to make a decision that the billionaire wants. And it, nobody's policing corruption now. Like, what are you going to do? Like, show up at her house and say, Ms. Cohn, we need to see your tax returns next year. Like, no, no one's doing that. So
We covered.
I've successfully bummed myself out now.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned for the next thing. This will be if not regularly, semi-regularly topic we'll talk about because, gotta keep eye on some things that are going
Right.
on outside of our local sphere. But we'll go back into the local sphere and wrap it and go on
Yes.
to the final main topic, and that is indoor, the Detroit City FC's MASLW side. So what a lot's happened since we've last recorded, and most of it has been schedule changes.
Right.
So December 21st, the first game of the MSLW season saw Detroit City FC go to Portage, take on Kalamazoo United, win 11-7. Couple weeks off. January 4th, the home opener at Detroit City Fieldhouse. Adam and I were there. It was fucking electric. It's an experience. It's a lot to take in when the lights and the sounds and everything like that. And Detroit City FC battering Kalamazoo United 9-2. Could have been a lot worse. Before the second game of the season, we learned that West Shore Ambition decided to not. I don't know if they even got a game in.
No, they
They
folded
bounced.
before they announced and folded like within a month.
So they went bye-bye. So that was the first schedule change. That was the first schedule change, which I think I noticed on New Year's Day and then recorded it bulletin, which I then sent to Adam. So Adam had to also make a video on New Year's night. Thanks, buddy. And
What a
then
dick!
so 3 days later, home opener. And then this thing happened called the Lions got the number one fucking seed and had the Saturday night game, which was supposed to be the same day as Detroit City FC taking on Kalamazoo United at the Fieldhouse. Needless to say, that shit got moved to now February 15th. Also moved the match at Kalamazoo United that was supposed to be on my 37th birthday this past Saturday. That is now March the 8th. Yeah. So starting this Saturday, February 1st until March 15th, Detroit City has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games because the matchups at the Iowa Demon Hawks are on Saturday, February 22nd and Sunday, February 23rd. So coming up Saturday, February 1st, the first of two consecutive home matches against Indiana United FC, not related to the FC Indiana that Detroit City, I think, used to pistol whip back in the NPSL days.
Is this like a South Bend team? I think they're from South Bend.
I feel like they were South Bend. I know we looked at it live a while back.
Yeah.
7:30 p.m. kickoff. We can gladly confirm, as posted on our socials earlier, that the home opener was I think the club was bouncing and improving their equipment, so It will be a return to streaming matches at the Fieldhouse on the club's YouTube channel for those that will not be in attendance. 7:30 p.m. Saturday. But from what we've seen so far of the game that we went into in person, this is kind of like what we thought so far of this women's indoor side. Sean, what's your takeaway on it?
Um, well, I haven't been able to actually see because none of the opponents ever stream anything.
Kalamazoo
And-
United match for the away is on YouTube, but it's a little bit hard to see just because of camera and so forth. But
Right,
that's like,
right.
but they do it in post also. It's not a live
Right.
stream.
Right. So, looks like they've been pretty much clubbing teams, and it's a roster with a ton of continuity. It's basically, like rolling it back to the same people, like the same women who dominated last year. So it's not entirely surprising to me that we've, like, I mean, that opener was what, 11-8, 7?
11-7.
11-7. But if I
I'm not
remember
mistaken,
right,
it
it was
was
like
a
a
5-2 half. First half,
Yeah.
7-2 first half.
like what I recall from that match was that it seemed like anytime when they kind of got a little momentum, we were able to just sort of take the match back over and score a couple quick goals and
Yep.
reestablish dominance. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what the Indiana team and the Iowa team have. Because for what we've seen so far, like I don't expect us to lose a match. And it's exciting that we're on the second year of this. You can see the women really know this version of the indoor game now. The strikers know to kind of check up. Like you can't keep running toward the goal and finish like that. That doesn't work. You have to kind of post up. And
Overload as well, yeah.
the use of overloads, the way that Gabby functions out of goal, comes up into the defensive line when we're in advanced possession. It's all just natural now. And I'm really curious whether anybody can give us a serious game that like where we feel threatened. Because right now I don't see it. And it's awesome. It's really fun and I think that if you don't have anything to do Saturday night, buy your tickets. You can't buy them at the gate anymore. Buy your tickets now.
They
I
have
won't be
like
there
a
'cause it's
little
my
bit
mom's
limited
birthday.
amount, but it fills up so quick.
Yeah. No, they announced last when they announced this match, they said we're not selling tickets at the door anymore. So you must buy tickets. You must buy tickets in advance. Okay. I think it's just because they can sell them all. Like, why pay somebody to sit there and sell tickets when we could just sell them all?
And it's not just full in the field house, so full capacity. It's also you go upstairs to the clubhouse. It's full place there.
Right.
It's quite a bit to take in on there.
It's a big, sweaty mass of humanity.
Yeah. And then also when you look at it, we talked about it as a joke earlier about when the guys are training back together that first day before they went out to full fields. Special conditions at the field house for indoor stuff when you look at the turf and then when you look at the size of the goals. They are unique.
Yeah. Well, I mean they don't comply. Really at any point we could get to the end of the season and have one of these teams in a fit of peak, like challenge all of our matches at home. Say they should forfeit every one of those matches as aren't legal goals, and really, we would probably lose that.
Right.
The thing is, though, is what would you rather have? Would you rather have regulation goals, or would you rather have the notoriety in women's indoor soccer of having a Detroit City FC club part of your league?
Yeah, I mean,
so we go back to the money argument.
It's
kind of like
that league. I'm like, you got 1 year. Okay, this is the last year you're getting away with those goals. Like, develop a plan to spend. You're like, oh no, it's going to cost $5,000. Well, you're a professional club. Like, figure it out. If I was the PASL or whatever it is, I don't
PSL was last year.
MASL, yeah, okay. Like, like, look, man, we got league rules and we're trying to be cool about this, but yeah, like we gotta have the regulation goals now. And I think it'll be interesting because like it'll ask a lot more of Gabby, because that tiny little goal, I mean, she can kind of cover that thing. She doesn't have to like.
And it's not a deep goal, so if you try to run in there full blast, you expect to go like full shoulder into that bitch.
You're gonna bounce off that wall that's like what, like 10 inches behind the goal line.
It's unforgiving.
It's like, oh yeah. I mean, I've run into it before.
I'm
does
taller
not
than that goal. I can't run into that thing. I'll have multiple bangs ups. One also thing too, Adam. I want to get your.
It was really funny.
Oh God bless you. I think you've seen me take a header, line drive header during kick around back in your managing clubhouse days from there. Multiple times actually, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Adam, your take on what you've seen, and then also one quick fun thing which might throw some people off. The kits for the women's indoor is maybe a little bit different unless they're trending something. Navy. All Navy for the home kits. And
you can ask me the question or not.
No, okay. Your take on the indoor, then I'll talk kits. Go.
Okay. It's like Sean said. It's the scary thing about this team is you're not getting that adjustment period. It seems like maybe you had last year where they were adjusting to the indoor game. This is a team. A lot of returning players from last year's indoor team that have already played indoor and don't need to adjust and are used to playing with, the other players on the team in this setting. So that's something that's scary if you're the opposition. And like Sean, I'm wondering too if there's a team out there that's going to be able to beat them. That's it.
Yeah, I'm honestly, it's like, if I'm a team coming to Detroit City Fieldhouse and you see that full place, music bumping, lights flickering, just a sea of humanity, chants all time. Think Novak was doing. I think Battlefield chants were happening. Yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a fucking lot.
Except when the Kalamazoo drummer out drums NGS at the.
Oh yeah, that wasn't. I don't care, and I don't care that if that was a boyfriend of a player or whatever. No, that was commitment by that guy drumming. Well done. It may have been simple, but it was significant. So we see you out there. And
way to go, Kalamazoo wife guy.
Stirring the pot.
Adam's gonna be. People are gonna do it. It's been a while since people were pissed at Adam and us. So
it's motivation. That's all it is. It's motivation.
Real quick kit talk. Because the kits we recorded on December 19th. That was our last time we recorded. December 20th was when the kits were announced at 5:00. So we thought that was going to be red for the home, navy for the away, and then yellow like this goalkeeper. So the women's indoor home is actually an all navy blue set, which, some people are like, City doesn't play in fucking blue.
I beg to differ, sir. City are playing in blue right now.
Yes, and much to Adam's chagrin, to an extent, the crest in the navy and the numbers are not in white. They are in mint verdigris.
It's even worse because it looks like because they're screen printed. It doesn't look like they put an underbase on there, so it's just
the numbers look good.
The numbers look blue kind of showing through.
The numbers look better than the crest on the kit. I will say that.
Get rid of it. Get rid of the verdigris. Sorry,
Adam.
I mean, it was one of those ideas that you were like, that is going to be amazing, and then we got it. And it's like, it's a very good accent color, but
see,
as anything more than an accent, it's like, that's a lot of that.
See, here's the thing. I'm Breaking Bad
Alex, I beg you, please get rid of the verdigris.
I'm Breaking Bad here. We've only done verdigris in half measures. If we're gonna do verdigris, and yes, you get where I'm coming from, Sean. We've done it in half measures. Granted,
Have we ever
it's
done
been
pure verdigris?
verdigris top. If you're gonna do it, fucking do it.
Yeah.
That's my.
You're gonna do it. Don't do it.
Pull. That's our Majors Detroit pull. If we start a Make City Make Spence pull, verdigris or ver don't, or verdigris or vertigo, because
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
100% vertigo.
Are you more Sean because you're part of the you're an OG? You've seen the city doesn't. You've seen the city doesn't wear fucking blue crowd. Many of our nearest and dearest are part of that crowd.
Right.
Are you more navy? Are you more blue navy blue, more pro blue navy blue, or more pro verdigris?
Well, okay, so when I first started hearing the blue stuff, like we had was it 2015 kits that had some some blue.
I think they had a T-shirt. It was merch apparel, if I'm not.
Well, there was
mistaken.
a blue La Rouge T-shirt. Yeah, I have one of those. That's like kind of a dark royal blue. And I always
19 from Adidas.
To me, you've got maroon essentially, and kind of old gold as your two colors, and like the third, the way you do the color wheel, they point at blue. Blue's the complementary color to them in the color wheel. There's a reason that blue, like that kind of the blue of my t-shirt, would look really good as an accent color on our rouge and gold kits. Now they haven't used it, I think, because it does draw a lot of ire, and then they bring out blue stuff every so often, I think, to just because they enjoy yanking y'all's chain a little bit. And I mean, like, I don't know how much Kevin has to do with this, but if Kevin knows that there's like really active supporters who are up in his face a lot, who really hate blue, you're going to see some blue stuff, because like, he will never give you the satisfaction of being like, anything other than like polite and kind and like, cool to you, but he's
going to get you.
He will get you.
He's going to get you.
Still waters run deep is what I'm saying.
Do you prefer the more royal blue that was the 2023 City of Detroit kit, or do you prefer the navy blue that was the chevron and what is this MASLW home?
I think I prefer the royal blue, but honestly, I have to confess that was my high school's color, so I've always kind of liked royal blue. I kind of grew up liking royal blue, so I don't know how much that has that influences it. But
Adam,
for me, it's just a matter of like, put those two collars on the wheel and see what they point to. Like, you don't even, like, it's not even like preference. It's like, just do the math and use that as a complementary collar and call it a day.
And also on that gold thing, even though I know the gold we use is technically like the sandy golden beige these days, based off what's offered in that,
right.
We don't use gold enough in our kit stuff. We tease it, but when we do gold as like an away kit or whatever, they're gems. So I'm on Team Sand, yo. Adam, I know where you stand in the blue versus verdigris stand. You've already explained it a number amount of times, like on there. So I'll ask you you lean more the dark navy, or you lean more the royal?
I like navy more than I like royal, but if we're speaking in terms of city kits, I would go more towards the royal, just because it is more of a nod to Detroit city flag too.
Well, that's true. Yeah, there's not navy on the city flag.
We will be knowing about these kits on March the 2nd. It was sent to be. We got the news via email that the all general meeting, big owners meeting, which will probably have some player coach stuff and team department stuff, followed by a kit review, will be Sunday, March 2nd, taking place at Wayne State at the McGregor Conference Community Center. I don't know. Nothing has been announced as a time, but my general suggestion to Detroit City people that are checking this out. I know when you do this event on a Saturday, it's usually early evening. What, Adam? Because I didn't go last year. I probably might not go this year. 6 o'clock start time, and it's usually a 3-4 hour shindig thing. My requests or my suggestion, if you're gonna do this on the Sunday, maybe do it more as an early after, like a matinee type thing, just out of respect for those that have other things like families,
Family friendly.
or even people or other commitments, right? Like the early morning, the work crowd, and all of these type things. So if you're gonna do it on a Sunday, maybe start the thing at like 3 or 4.
I think
Rather,
the,
your
I think
take, Sean?
Trevor would probably
I think
appreciate it.
I think NGS from 10 years ago is showing you the finger right now.
Also,
Fuck
they have to
you.
work at 5 a.m, so they will probably like to get home early enough to go to fucking bed.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. The players
Well,
are
and
like,
yeah,
are you guys?
NGS from 10 years ago is also old now, so yeah, they would probably enjoy an earlier.
Yeah, they're all like, this is pleasant. Are we gonna have dinner? Like 4 o'clock.
You
It's
have
time for
dinner at 4
dinner.
o'clock. Yeah, you
Right.
have dinner at 4 o'clock and in
Right.
bed by 8.
Right. Exactly. Get into your jammies, watch some Matlock, and it's time for bed.
Right, the fucking theme song stuck in my head. Thanks, Sean. Uh, yeah, but that's my
I don't know what
first
we're
thought.
talking. We're like threatening to go into hour 3 here. Like we need to.
Oh shit, yeah, that goes way past that 10 o'clock cutoff, Sean, I was hoping for.
I just looked at the time. I was like, wow.
Oh yeah, you got it right.
I'm fine.
Go support all the women's stuff. The next 3 Saturdays are at home. If you can't make it to Detroit City Fieldhouse, they'll be on YouTube. Like I said, March 2nd, annual owner stuff, kit reveal. Please make us happy, folks. And then last but not least, Detroit City announced they renamed the Northwest section to something. The keyword. So I feel like every section that has
Like
seating
the
now has
Roosevelt
a
Kids Corner or something like that.
it's not the kids corner, but it's like the Roosevelt corner, I think is what it's called.
Like the Chuck E.
Um
Cheese Corner or something.
so the point
So
being is they've named everything in if you're going to name you know what, you've named everything at Keyworth Stadium that has seating. Don't stop there. Why don't you name the concourse? Hell, why don't you name the fucking porta potties? Just go on full on with it. Why don't you?
I
Maybe
mean,
not.
I would hate to be the person responsible for naming the porta potties because that's a pretty difficult job to avoid, offending people. Just give them like random first names. This one's Clyde. Yeah, it does not fill me with joy to see the ever reducing footprint of general admission within Keyworth, but I also understand that like you know this is an organization engaged in the capitalist game, and so there's a lot of blood funnels pumping into every money orifice that they can find, and surely some more expensive tickets is one of the orifices. So
And I think also too they're trying to come up with various options because I think also, if I'm not mistaken, East Grandstand, that was before seated and supporters, is now just becoming, I think, has been promoted as a generalized supporter section area now. So I think if that's the promotion of, and Adam, you might know a little bit more on this. on the
Adam's
end
like,
of it.
sadly, no.
I do not. No, sorry.
But I think that it was something where it was like, if your section, if you're in this is going to general.
I don't know. We're talking about seating now, so I
Yeah,
think it might
we've
be
hit a
time
lot
to
of
wrap
things.
it up.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground today. So it's on there. So yeah, basically is what I'm saying is times are changing.
Yeah. That is definitely true. I am chasing down some things about that in the background right now.
So with that being said, we've already talked about ways where you can find us out in all of our work. So now let's talk about the ways you can reach out to us. Sean Spence, you get the first.
I am an entirely mysterious person who doesn't work at Domino's at all. So don't think that is the case. I have a blog. It is on Patreon. It is called Words About Shapes. You can find it there. I am on various social media platforms, although X, the Everything app, I only use for cat pics anymore. So don't really try to contact me there because I don't want to be interrupted in the middle of my enjoying cats.
That reminds me, I
Blue
need to tweet
Sky.
you more cat photos I find on Twitter.
Blue Sky is where I'm shield chafing, and I've spelled it a million times. You can probably figure it out. Yeah, the end.
Adam, what about you, bud?
Team SNX Adam on Blue Sky. And also a quick shout out to Brad Dunwell.
Oh yeah,
Brad,
we forgot to talk
Brad
about
Dunwell.
Brad.
Yes.
I
Yes.
tried to tell it to you earlier, Garret, but you wouldn't listen.
Sorry. Brad Dunwell. Brad Dunwell announced.
You wanted to talk about stadium seating instead of Brad Dunwell. So
Brad Dunwell announced at
mistakes were
dinner time.
made. Okay. Yeah.
Things were had. It's our first time back in 42 days since shit got off the rails. Brad Dunwell announced as not just the new Detroit City FC 2 head coach, the first full-time Detroit City 2
Full
head coach.
time. I know.
Really happy to see somebody who was, when given an opportunity, gave everything as a player in 2022. We talked about it in our group text. I picture a scenario of what 2022 could have been if Brad Dunlop did not get that nasty slide tackle at the end of that game at Atlanta 2 on April 9th, 2022. Not just a different it would have been a whole different trajectory for him and as well as that side. But to see him back here now and in that role, I think is really, really cool. Not just for him, but for people that are on that 2 side and seeing, getting motivated to be able to take that next step.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see the cities committing more resources to developing players. That's great.
absolutely.
We need to develop some Detroit superstars.
Mm-hmm. And I know in the training staff of getting ready for camp, there's been some trialists, including a name that I've recognized before and brought joy seeing in that U23 side. I think it looks like Keith Larson. So many other people that I've seen there. So the more that are committed to this area, this team and growth, and from this area, I think really helps create that connection of a club and a community club. So shout out, congratulations, Brett. Happy to see you on there. In general, look forward to seeing what happens with there. You can find myself online more on Blue Sky these days than Twitter, although I'm still on it. GM Comats on both Twitter and Blue Sky as well as Instagram. And I just want to also close this by saying thank you to anyone that has checked this out. We get it. We're not going to please everybody with the words that we say. We go out on these long diatribes and everything, and we appreciate whether you love the work that we do or you think we fucking suck, and whether you listen or you let us know on that. We appreciate anybody that listens and takes the time to check us out from the bottom of our hearts. So thank you for that. I think we'll be back at this next week because there should be some more fun stuff coming out along the pipeline.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have more announcements. We'll be able to actually talk about the player we relentlessly tease for everyone. One hopes.
Yeah, we should probably stop before we get a cease and desist. So I would say, for if we're going to the field house, well, this will be out before Saturday, February 1st. So I don't know if I'll be at the field house. Adam, I know will be. Have fun to all that are going on there as they watch the MASLW side wreck shit. And yeah, Sean Spence's cool words about shapes. There's going to be plenty of posts for you to check out his fine words. So there you go, Sean. I've pumped you up.
Thank
No
you.
pressure.
I feel
No
I'm
pressure.
like, yeah, exactly. I feel like one of those Dig Dug, creatures. You gave me a couple. I'm kind of like, I can't move now. Is
Yeah,
Dig Dug too much of a deep cut? Dig Dug, the old arcade game.
maybe I'm out of it right now.
Okay.
All right, y'all. Until next time. See ya.
Yeah.